My name is Stephen Rapp. I was a former international prosecutor for Rwanda and for Sierra Leone, for 6 years ambassador at large in the Obama administration for global justice, working in the State Department on situations of mass atrocities across the globe. Since last August, I've been working with the Holocaust Museum and the Hague Institute on helping establish justice in those places where there are not yet courts to try the perpetrators. Tonight, as we sadly commemorate the anniversary 2 years ago, when the genocide against the Yazidi began in northern Iraq and continued in Syria and elsewhere. We really have to press as hard as we can for justice, not just for the defeat of ISIS, and ISIS is being pushed back, but for holding the perpetrators of these crimes to account, the people that killed the men, the boys, the old women in Kojo and elsewhere, and enslaved Yazidi women and girls, 3,200 of whom are still today in these horrendous conditions as slaves to an extremist organization. We need justice, and the way to get there is for world powers like the United States, that I represented as an ambassador for 6 years, to take the leadership in establishing an international commission that investigates this crime as quickly as possible, develops the evidence from the mass graves, from the testimony of the survivors, and then sends it to a court, an independent court, and at the same time, when areas are taken back from ISIS, identifies the major perpetrators and brings them to trial. That's what we need to do. Well, obviously there are many minorities that have suffered from the crimes of Daesh. They include Christians. I visited Christians when I was in Erbil and in Ankawa, and the refugee containers there, who suffered enormously, who were driven from their communities, driven from Mosul, eventually in July of 2014. Minorities, including Shia and other groups that suffered under the destructive hand of ISIS. The Yazidi situation is a special one because it was so clear that the effort here was to destroy this group entirely. In other situations, it was to destroy and push the group away or take over territory. But these are all horrendous atrocities, and there needs to be justice for them. The best justice would be delivered in the region with judges from that area, Arab judges, Kurdish judges, and others. And I'm working with others with the local authorities to do that. But I think we also have to recognize that we have here the crime of crimes, for which the international community has earlier called into being international tribunals. And we need for the main perpetrators an ICC referral or an internationalized court to hold these perpetrators to account.
Naomi Kohler with the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum Center for the Prevention of Genocide. Today is a really somber day. It's a day that we shouldn't have to mark. It's the anniversary of the second year after the genocide against the Yazidi people. It was a genocide that should have been prevented. 70 years ago, we committed to never again. Yet sadly, for Yazidis living around Sinjar and Nineveh Plains, they were the victims of genocide by the Islamic State. It's important that people around the world, not just in Iraq, but here in the United States, in Europe and elsewhere, mark today and commit to never again allowing genocide to happen and to protecting the Yazidi people so that they're not victims again in the future. It's critical that we see justice for the victims of the genocide against the Yazidi and for crimes against humanity committed against others. If we don't see justice and accountability, there's a real risk that there could be future crimes. It's important that we see cases tried nationally, but also internationally, possibly through the International Criminal Court.